And this is our, I'm Tyler.
My name's Jeremy. On our website, focus mainly on business logic.
I'm Jen Gunderson. I did a lot of the database stuff.
I'm Austin, and I worked on the front end UI aspects.
I suppose I should have mentioned I did a lot of the like design or like the page layout stuff. Like how it's,
And so our application is Game Finder. We created this kind of to cater to the gamers of the world, so they can create profiles, log on, and kind of post when they're going to be online. It's more for online. So it's kind of like a forum where they post online. Then other users can go in and see the forum post, respond, message, and all that stuff about sharing kind of profile names and linking up and getting together online. So our homepage here, basic homepage, one scroll.
Do you want, is that plugged in? But you're the one. Is it? Okay.
So, does it work? No, just want to go down a little. So on here we have kind of our navigation. We can see our featured games, find our forum, and then we have kind of a check back later for future content. And if you click on any of these, we have our user authentication, so you can't see it unless you're signed on.
Yeah, the first load is a little slow.
So here's our login page. If you want to log in as an admin, right away.
It's working.
she's spinning. There we go.
You want to go to profile, Jeremy? So in the admin profile, we'll talk about the regular user profile later, but in the admin profile, you get the special ability to create a new user as an admin. I want to scroll down. So we can create this user and we'll assign them an avatar, and we'll give them a clearance level of 0, which means they're a regular user, not an admin. Want to log out and log in as a regular user. Go home. So obviously here now you see that we don't have that user, and we're not going to talk about profile page.
Okay. So from here, if you want, you can. Is it working if I click this?
Yep. You may want to try it again.
Yeah, just click it.
Yeah, there you go.
So you can do your information or edit it. And or you can compose one message. Oh, yeah. Want to make a message or something?
To Jeffrey?
Sure.
I was going to say send it to me. But
That's
That's
fine.
Okay.
And then you can see all your sent messages or oh, if you didn't have any.
Those are only received messages.
Okay, and then, yeah, good. Or wait, should we sign in that as, whatever, I guess.
Sign in as
Or no, I'll
Jeffries.
just go back to, whatever, and then you can delete one of your messages.
That only deletes, that doesn't delete the message from the other user that you sent it to, it deletes it only from your
Yeah.
side.
Mhm.
Right, so if we go back in. Add Jeffries.
change our notification. Wrong password.
Then if you check his messages, you can see one he just received from Foot, whoever he just logged in as. And then,
Just get your times in there.
so, and then everything that you could click on according to the tabs form of the games, if you weren't already logged in, it would bring you to a login page. So if you went to, for example, the games page, these are the ones that are currently, oh, I can't scroll. The ones that are currently in the database that we set up. And then you could search if you're like, I just want, an RPG. Okay, go ahead and click on your end. Then you can see this, and then like, well, is there any posts on the forum about that? You click on that image, and then it's gonna load the forum, and it's gonna search just for that game if there are any posts for anyone looking for someone. Okay. So then you can see, okay, I did receive a result. So click on it, you can see, okay, yeah, that's the game that I was looking for. And what are they doing? What platform are they playing on? The game that they're playing. When are they playing it? And then, would you like to get a part of it? You can add yourself to that list.
You have to refresh it to add something to fix.
Yeah.
Sure.
Then you can see you're now part of that. And then if you try it again, it should not let you add yourself again. So you're only there once. But then sorry.
Where do you want to go?
Go to the forum. So then if you're just browsing anything, you can see this is just everything that's there. Or else you can go by platform. I just want to see, I'm on Xbox, I only want to see if people are posting about Xbox games. Or I only want to see whatever, The Sims, yeah. I don't know who's playing that together online, but
Yeah, I don't know if that's online.
apparently there's a co-op feature. And yeah, I think that covers it. You just want to see the admin? Okay. You want to log out and go back in as admin.
Oh, sure.
So then if you go games page.
We're talking about game?
No.
Add over at a game.
Yeah, it's just a mill. Is that what you're gonna type in?
Yeah.
Is it class? Or we want to save the game, like we'll save the game from somewhere too.
Jen, do you want to explain what you're doing?
Just getting an image so that we can load it for the game.
So the admin can upload an image. And then that image will be uploaded into the game page.
Because the users themselves, the actual customers of the website can't just edit any of the information that they want. They can, the only thing they can do is message other users or view games that are already in the database. So they need an admin's permission if they wanted to add a new game to the database.
Yes. Then a future thing we were working on too was having kind of a request a game tab. So a user can request a game to the admin to eventually add onto the page.
But, I think that's all of our functionality that we made it to.
Very cool.
That we're ready to with.
Any questions?
So what was the hardest part?
The hardest part?
I mean, it may be different for each individual. What was the most difficult part that you guys kind of thought you were working on?
I think the hardest part that I thought was when I was initially doing a lot of the load functions for sorting, because I just initially didn't know the syntax basically. So it's I spent a while on MSDN or something just trying to figure out where I needed to go. And then once I got there, it's oh, this is, now if I do it again, it's 10 minutes of work. But initially it's oh man, that's kind of
personally, I had a really hard time, these guys wanted like the menu thing or something to be green. And I had a hard time like changing it because I'd find where it was in the HTML, what like div it was in or what class or whatever. So I could call it in CSS, and there was like multiple ones that they were in, and I ended up trying to call a bunch of them, and it didn't seem to work.
So is the page responsive?
What?
Is the page responsive?
Responses?
Yeah.
Recognize it.
Oh, yeah.
Opposed to the nav bar.
What are we talking about?
Don't say that, just say that.
Yes, it is. You'll see. Just minimize.
Okay.
Go a little bit more.
Okay.
So the hamburger shows up?
Yeah, so we had two
Okay.
different kind of.
Yeah, that's
So
it.
close, so close, so close.
Yeah, that's an error that we needed to
So
work out.
we can get the two separate sides of the navigation.
For me, I thought the hardest thing was like having ideas and then like some ideas deciding not to work on and working on other things, and then having to redo the database to accommodate the different things that we were working on.
Yeah, definitely that one.
Yeah.
There's a decent amount of ideas that you spend hours on and then you scrap them because it didn't play out the way you wanted, and then you're like, is there any way I can use this code anyways? And
Yeah, I had like a whole other page built that we ended up not using.
What do you guys think of the Agile process? Oh, I'm sorry, you said no question.
I think what I like about the Agile process is just the feedback. I think like when we would meet with you and you would say, you know, I like this about the site, but this I'd like different. Like I like that feedback every few weeks of what we should kind of be focusing on, and
Up to the kind of like progress and.
and knowing what everyone's working on, I guess was nice as well. You know, just meeting with everyone and, you know, what are your focuses? These are my focuses.
What they don't work, so we can kind of help each other.
I was gonna ask if you had any breakthroughs with the Agile process, so like sort of similar thing, but was there like any sort of like wall that you hit and you used like any sort of Agile methodology to like get through it that really helped you at all? Or like any process that was like streamlined in like compared to past projects you've worked on that Agile really helped with?
I don't have a good example.
No, I don't know, I thought it was basically just getting used to working in a group.
I guess that's true. We only have a handful of classes that really focus on group working. A lot of it's solo, so
So it was nice to kind of implement the meeting every 2 weeks.
yeah, and not being responsible for everything.
So did you guys try pair programming at all? Just curiosity. If you did, that's okay.
Pair programming, no, we didn't do pair programming.
Okay. Cool.
It was very nice to like, when we were in a group, like if I had a problem, I could just ask one of you guys.
Yeah.
That's true, yeah, you're not alone.
Definitely prefer working in a group to myself.
Anything else?
Good work.
We're done.
Okay.
So we'll start off by introducing ourselves. I'm Bella and I work on the UI. Yeah, well, we'll do introductions first. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Jason. I primarily work on the controllers and views when everything's connecting up, and some of the little bit of VO work, some of like just fine tuning stuff.
Owen, I did a lot of the database creation and PL work.
I'm Ross. I worked mostly on the DL and a little bit of the controllers near the end, but mostly back-end work.
Okay, so our idea for our website is basically a dog social website. So I have a dog myself. His name is Ente. He's a fluffy chow chow. The reason I thought this would be a great idea is because in general, if you don't have other friends that have dogs already, it's not that easy to socialize your dog. You may go to the dog park or you may go to a regular park and just hope that there's a dog there that he can make friends with. But this way, someone will have a platform or a way to message someone and say, hey, I really like your dog. I think he's really cute. And I think our dogs have very similar temperaments. And I would like them to meet up. And so that's the purpose of our website. something that's really cool, as you guys will see like a little bit later, in our view profiles, we have some dogs that are actually, not that they're real, but they are real. So I messaged a bunch of my beauty groups, 3 different pages, asking them if they would like to be a part of our website. So I asked them, hey, we're making a website for my class. It's going to be a dog social website, and I would really like if you guys would be involved. And I got over 2,000 comments, real dog images and real descriptions of dogs. Obviously, we didn't have that much time to put in that much data, but it was really cool just seeing like how many people would like to be a part of this. And if we were to like get into this more and make it like real, not just an assignment, if we were to make this widespread and not just my 3 beauty groups, a lot of people could be involved and it would be a really cool thing. So yeah, you can go ahead, Jason.
All right, so I'll go through, well, I also worked on the authentication side of things, so figured let's start off by logging on.
I think it's like
I'll let
Yeah, it's easy with the boss. And you just, if you want to, you can move that desk over so you can see the screen.
And I don't know how long the cords are on your thing, I don't know.
It's wireless.
Oh, there you go.
That's why I unplug it every time.
yeah.
I'll log in. Nice and cozy over here.
What do you have while he's logging in for, can you look at the, or find animals or search animals or anything without
Yes.
logging in?
Yeah, so you can actually view the profiles and see all the other dogs. We didn't get to this part, but we didn't want other people's emails to show, unless you're logged in. Because if you're logged in, then at least we have your information. If something goes wrong, then we have that information. But currently, everyone can see the emails. We did at one point wanted to do messaging, like this team here did. Well, actually, where's the team? You guys are all the way back there. Thank you. So we did wanted to do website messaging, but we just didn't get to that part. But you can go ahead and log in.
Sometimes these websites in general just load links and elevator music while you're waiting.
It's the first of all.
Sing again?
Okay.
There you go.
Go ahead.
All right, so there's me eating peas. And there's my information here and all of my dogs.
Yeah.
So click on one of the dogs and that individual's dog's information will show up. There you go. You can actually edit the dog from here as well, if you want to. And then if you save it, it'll retain those settings. So if you name, put an S at the end, save it, and it does change the name. So, you can also add a dog as well to your profile. And from here, gosh, what should be our next topic here, guys?
We can go to the view profiles. Why don't you guys show that? You can talk about
So
that.
I worked vigorously on this search bar. Basically, you just type in a zip code here and it pulls up the list of dogs that pertain to that zip code based off of the customer's zip code that you put in the database.
Also, if you have, if you're logged in, it'll automatically, the first results will be dogs that are in your zip code right off the bat. The rest will be the rest of the dogs in the database right now.
There you go. Search by zip code and use 5.
So why don't you go ahead and click on one so they can see what happens. Okay, so, oh, does someone else want to explain this? Okay, so basically what happens is it brings you to that dog specific profile. But not only that, it shows, well, if Owen had a picture, it would show Owen's picture. It shows a description about Misty. She's friendly to other dogs, likes to play, and she barks a lot. So it shows a description about their dog, but then it also shows all their other dogs as well. Just scroll down and go ahead and click on Liam, go ahead. And so then it actually brings you to Liam's page. And so we all each have 5 dogs on this page, but if someone had less or more, then you could see the other options that you have to meet. But not only that, if you want to meet with someone, then you see that they also have other dogs that may also want to play with your dog as well. So that's something really interesting to see as well. Did you want to go back to the search page so that the view profiles, so that Ross can explain what is the code? You worked on the zip code stuff in the BL, if you wanted to explain that.
For this page, all I did was just really is, okay, so if, for example, if I, let me get logged out of this account quick, because I don't know what dogs he has. If I go into view profiles and search my zip code, if I can click here.
Yeah.
These are my dogs that come up. However, if I'm logged in, and go to attempt to search dogs in my zip code, I'm alone. That zip code will not bring up my own dogs.
Oh.
And that's just one little thing I did. Other things I was working on was just, you can add a new dog. It's the default picture thing with people. You can also sign up. All this works. If you want to demonstrate, I could. But all of mine's picture are just the default picture because I didn't have one at the time.
And also when you add, when you're adding a customer and you enter in a zip code, for example, say one that isn't in our database, it will automatically pull the city name and the state.
I spent a bit more time on this than I probably should have, but it first queries the database if we already have that zip code, and if it doesn't, it will hit a API that returns a city and state for the zip code you pass to it. And that way we can avoid junk data in case someone like misspelled their town. That way we can bypass that altogether so that we don't get like Campbellsport and Campbellsport without the S or something. I wanted to make it so that it didn't bring anything back. It would give you a field to type in your own information just in case if the API didn't have it, but I did not get that far. But if I do enter a customer, and this also does have field checking as well. So you can't put in that junk email, or this one that clearly is not an email, like just ASF. It will error out and put in a completely wrong email. And since I was logged in, that didn't work quite right.
They didn't log out yet.
Yeah. That should. What do I use for the email?
It wasn't me, SDF.
Person@person.com.
I think you spelled the secondperson.com wrong though. Trial and error.
Nope.
Yeah, I'll do that.
At least the authentication works.
Yeah, let you in.
Yeah.
Oh,
Whoops.
well, that didn't work because.
It was person with an S after the P.com.
What was it? Oh, you've got very great memory, thank you.
Yeah.
After the first P.
After the first, oh, all right, thank you. This is a great demonstration.
Now try a W.
I can keep trying, so I'll just give up here.
You can't forget that.
Bad dog.
Yeah, we actually wanted to get something similar to
Something broke at some point, that was working at least.
we wanted to get something like that going. Like if you didn't enjoy your experience with another dog, we wanted you to be able to rate them. And so at one point we had stars as to how good they were. We didn't get that functionality going, but that is something else that we wanted to get implemented as well, just so you can see like, hey, this is a pretty good dog, or oh, I definitely don't want to play with them, you know. Did you get to sign up for it?
No, I think something broke at some point.
Okay, that's okay. I think that's.
We didn't spread ourselves a bit thin at first. We had a lot of stuff we worked on that didn't make it in simply because we overestimated what we could do. So there's a lot of code actually that just is sitting there because it just didn't get used, or more, we didn't have time to use it.
Yeah. At one point we had 7 pages, and then we really had to condense what we wanted to be in our final project to present to you guys. Yeah, I think that's mostly everything. Do you guys have any questions? Go ahead.
So whose idea was it? What is a beauty group? Do you have links in there to like local dog parks, like based on zip code or anything? Or?
Well, it was my initial idea, but we all thought of it together. We decided on what we wanted. And so I hope that answers your first question. As a team, we decided what we wanted to do. There was a couple other ideas that were thrown out there, but we all decided that we liked this idea and we thought that it would be fun. A beauty group is basically a platform for other makeup enthusiasts to just chat about makeup. A lot of times I use those platforms to purchase or sell makeup. So I just told them about what I was doing and they were all more than happy to help.
Cool.
Yeah.
They didn't know about that part?
About what?
Beauty groups?
Oh, no, they did not know. I mean, they may or may not know things about beauty. I have no idea.
Seems like a network we need to tap into.
It is, yes.
Really willing to help.
Yeah, they're willing to help and they want to be a part of whatever it is in your life, even though they may not live in the area. They're all like, hey, what can I do to help? Yeah, so it's really cool and it's a great platform to connect to other people that may or may not live in your area. So, yeah. The question about the parks, we did not get to that, and that actually wasn't even an idea that we had. So it's definitely something we could implement in the future. Something that we had that was similar to that was reviews. So we wanted to review like dog hair salons or kennel places in the area, so that if you're coming to a certain town that you've never been to before, and you're like, hey, I want kennels in this area, can I get reviews on that? That's something that we wanted to do, but we did not think about parks. That's a really good idea that you had.
It's pretty creative. This is pretty cool. It's applicable and something for sure.
Given the response that you had off of that, I mean, is there anything like this out there?
There are actually. Some of them are a little bit different, and some of them have a little bit of a different scope. Some of them are more so that you can display your dog. Because some people have very beautiful dogs, you know, and they want to put it out to the world. And so some places are for chatting with other people about things your dog is up to or stuff like that. Are there any specific places for dog meet and greets? I did not find one, no. But there are dog websites.
Is there like Tinder for dogs?
That's sort of what we wanted, yeah. When we first started our scope, it was kind of like a swipe right, swipe left type of situation. But we ended up changing it so that, I don't know, so that it would make more sense to what we wanted to do, especially if we were using ASP and MVC. It was kind of harder to think about where things would go and how things would be placed in our database. So this is what we went with. Any other questions?
So, key to Agile is communications. Did you guys find a method that worked well for your team? An application, anything?
Initially, we used Slack, but then we went to text messaging. It just seemed to work better for everybody.
We spent a lot of time meeting each week, a lot of hands-on coding. We did also do a little bit of 2 people on keyboard. That seemed to work pretty well when we were working with more difficult problems, specifically with certain things that don't have an example, but there's been times where that's really been beneficial.
The funny thing is I actually downloaded the Slack app onto my phone, thinking that that would make me reply quicker, and it definitely did not. It would still take me like hours to reply, but like you send a text to my entire group and they all reply within 5 minutes. So it's useful that way.
What were your biggest success stories, either as an individual or as a group? Was there like a key moment where it was like, yes, we finally got this feature working, or I did this one thing I've been working on forever?
Yeah.
That search bar.
Okay.
I'll talk about something. They're really good at back end. Like I said, I work mostly in the UI and front end, so this was really exciting for me. Can you go to the view profiles, Ross? And then if you click on, you can click on it if you want. Okay, so you can scroll down. So I had Jason help me with this, and this was when it was like crunch time. So we were really trying to put our website together and have something great to show you guys. So I was able to have Jason. Jason was able to pull all of the names from the database, and then I was able to link the specific dog to the specific page. So that was really exciting. And I realized that that's really easy for some people, but I was really excited. Because I don't work that much with ASP and MVC. And yeah, that was something really exciting for me that I thought was hard, but.
Cool.
We did the little focus ring when you go over a pup. Just hover on one.
Oh, it's there.
I worked on that. Yeah. I thought that it would be something fun to add. Just because, yeah, you're just working on it.
So what are your thoughts on the overall Agile project, or process, the process of the 2 week sprints and retrospectives and all that?
I personally liked it just because I knew what everybody else was working on, so I knew what I could focus on compared to everybody else. So that's what I enjoyed about it.
I liked about a lot the meeting every week. There's been a few times where I've heard them working on something, I was able to chime in, and hey, I came for that actually. And just use that. And just in general, being able to be within ears, reach with everyone most of the time. And that helpful.
Yeah, definitely being in front of everybody, and then if someone needs help, we're right there. And also, when 2 people looking at one screen helped a lot too. You know, kind of just for stuff that we were struggling with. It's kind of serendipitous sometimes how 2 people are better than 1, right? When you're looking at this stuff and someone's like, oh yeah, you missed that. Oh yeah, and it's usually in 1 letter or something, or you know. So yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Something I really liked about the process was just meeting with you guys. I think it's different when we meet as a team and we're like, oh yeah, we should probably fix that, you know? But it's definitely different when we show you guys our product and then you guys are like, hey, this is what I want from you next time, you know? And then we're like, okay, like, we all group together and we figure it out, you know, for the next time. So I definitely think that was a huge part as to how we got to where we are. I feel like sometimes when we meet, we're all just like, okay, so what should we do, you know? But it's different when you guys really condense down at what we should be doing, you know? So I think that was a really great part of the process too.
Well, good work, you guys.
Yep.
You gotta use your teacher voice.
So I'm Jordan.
I'm Georgia.
I'm Gage. I'm Tim. Cool. Nice to meet you.
I'll say this, they kind of worked on, they did a mix of all the back-end stuff, so it wasn't just like one person doing the VL, whatnot. I did pretty much all the interface and UI and all that stuff.
So we made, it's called Sync. Basically, it's kind of like a reverse LinkedIn. It's for students to find employers rather than for employers having to reach out to students. You kind of just want to simplify the process. Employers have a lot of stuff going on. So main idea is for them to put something out there and for the students to come to them.
So yeah, let's go over the UI a little bit just so you can take a look. You can create 2 kinds of profiles, which we'll get to. About, so this is our about page. Some beautiful people down here. Contact page. So the employer search.
In defense of all the groups, the internet has been extremely slow on campus. It's been bad this week. I don't know if it's because it's finals or what.
Azure Web Services databases going to like a C kind of thing at first.
So you have to have, you have to access the employers, right? If you're a student and you're going to see, like, hey, I want to go to this event, you have to sign up first. So, and that's the same thing with the events. Do that a little quicker. Looks like that might be gone. Okay, so that being said, let's just go the traditional way. Let's say we're students. I'm just going to quickly do something. Yeah, we'll do salad student. It's like literally the same one. So let's say we'll just say Joe Wetzel. Let's see, it's hard to see. And then we'll just do this much. We'll do Wetzel. It sends you a little email like when you sign up. So Joe will get an email. I typed it right. We'll say Fox Valley Tech. We'll say hacker. We'll say Joe, just keep it simple, and then do this. I'm just gonna show this right. And then upload this, and then this will get loaded. This will get loaded as blob data in the database, and Gage can talk about that a little later. He worked a lot on that. All right, so Joe wants to go get a job. So we'll do Joe, and then I'll take it up. Joe's thing. It's Joe. And so Joe can edit his profile, but he can't edit anybody else's. But let's say Joe wants to go find a job, or go to an employer. Yeah, Gage, if you want to talk a little on this. So,
the employer search I had it set up so that it showed only 5 images, or 5 profiles at a time, and you could go to the next page. And you also had a search functionality, so you could search up based on the organization's name or the industry to say you wanted to look up Joe's industry.
Well, Joe's a student. Or just like education.
Education. And you search for that, and it would show whatever came up for that. Click on the profile, it will show you the information for that user. Go back, and choose between which one will show you. You show a certain amount. So it's only showing, which now will show 10. For each page, it should.
We only have 5.
Yeah.
But it does do that. We got rid of a lot of dummy data and some of them were crazy.
And the imaging was mostly just storing in the database of bytes. It's a byte array, everything, and flow of data, and then showing it up as a string. And it mostly shows it from the database directly. It doesn't have the dump data trail. That was the
Yep, so, and then if we go to the events page, it's also something you can do whether you're signed in as an employer or a student. All right, so we got a couple events coming up. We got the Dealer Inspired Open House. I'm not gonna read all these. But let's say Joe wanted to go to the UW Oshkosh job fair, right? Well, at first it's like, I don't know if I want to go. But then he's so like, I'm interested, right? So Joe's interested, we got one person interested, like that's all in the database. But let's say like Joe comes back, and he's like, man, I want to go to that UW Oshkosh job fair. So he joins, and then we got Joe here. You can click on this and go to Joe's profile. Let's say, there was more people. So let's say, oh man, Jen Gunderson's going. Jen Gunderson, the student, is also going. Maybe I'll, email her and say, hey, you want to go together? We got Dirk Dansby. I'm Joe, I'm interested, so.
You can also share the events to Facebook. It will provide a link in the description.
So, let's see. Okay, so basically, we could also make an employer account. It's
the same process. There's different fields because employers and students have different things that you need to know about them.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing with that would just be, certain people can only edit certain things. I mean, that's really the main thing with that.
Only employers can create events, can edit the events, and you can only edit your own profiles kind of idea of that.
So, any questions? Brody?
Was there anything you disliked about the Agile process?
I liked it all.
Yeah, honestly, I loved it. For reference, Gage was our remote student, so this is our first time, at least for us two.
My first time
meeting him.
Yeah, we should probably talk about technologies we use. I wasn't thinking about that, but so we used ASP.NET, MVC. I think a lot of groups use that. We used Entity Framework for ORM, Git for our version control. We use Discord to communicate because most of us are gamers, and so that worked really well, really seamlessly. Like having Gage remote was absolutely no problem whatsoever. Yeah, those are the main things. Any other questions?
What was the hardest part? Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I just had a question. You keep asking about the Agile process. Is this their first introduction to Agile?
Yes.
The first time they...
They're introduced to it, but they don't actually do a project using it prior to this class. Some of them are introduced. Well, no, they both have.
It should be a big focus. That's how we work, and it's the previous group was talking about the iterations and figuring out what you should be doing next. It's a critical process of what we do now for Skyward. We're 3 to 7 people, maybe up to 10 people teams. Stand-ups every day, reviews every 2 weeks, so that you're in front of the stakeholders every 2 weeks and they're saying, yeah, that looks good, or no, what the heck were you guys thinking? And now you've only wasted 2 weeks instead of 2 months. So that's encouraging. I like that.
We always get the comment about the hardest thing about the Agile, because it's education and they only meet and work typically 1 day a week, that, our sprints are over 2 weeks, but the amount of hours in that sprint is not typical. But so we know that's a hurdle, but you guys all seem to do well with it anyway.
Yeah, I know for us, we were checking in with each other constantly. Sometimes we meet always once a week, but sometimes we voice chat often, probably every middle of the week, just to check in and see where everyone's at. And if people are working on stuff, we maybe give a heads up just so that we're not kind of conflicting in our coding and what we're doing.
Whose idea was it for the networking event? Doing the networking events on there?
I think that was mine. I don't know, we all came up, I kind of came up with the overall idea for the project, but then after that, it was what features do we want? So somewhat.
Yeah, group effort, I would say.
Yeah, I would just say the overall concept is very well thought out, because whenever we work with any new grads of any kind, I think that's my first piece of advice for them, is to get out and network.
Right.
I have a lot of students who will just throw their resume at a bunch of job postings, and although a blanket resume seems like a good idea at the time, the real, I think, meat and potatoes of getting a job out of college is really a lot of networking, you know, going to these events, talking with people, and kind of weaseling your way in, I guess. Lack of better, I guess.
For beauty groups.
Or beauty groups, right? Right.
So were there any challenges with working with Gage? I mean, just put you working with a remote student.
I think, initially, we gelled pretty fast as a group. Like, honestly, like, I'll say, I would think that these guys would vouch for it too, but we had a phenomenal group. We all worked together really well, so I know I, for one, was very fortunate about that. But no, Gage was great, and I think just technologically, Discord worked really well. We had used TeamViewer here and there, like if somebody needed help, like I know Jordan and I did some pair programming on TeamViewer. I guess we weren't necessarily sitting right next to each other, but we were watching the same screen from different locations. But yeah, no, I think if somebody's gonna, put in the effort, the remote stuff's gonna work good. I don't know, Gage, did you want to speak on that a little bit since you were?
Yeah, the only issue would have been like maybe the internet here and then, but then we figured a way out of that where like somebody would record.
Yeah.
Somebody did.
The school internet, not that great, but
Yeah.
I tried voice chat, so it'd be kind of, honestly, almost voice chatting back at home is better.
So our retrospectives typically were done over the phone or recording if that was unavailable. So.
Yeah.
And I think I heard you say you rented a car company.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That's nice. It's nice to have in person. That's cool. Well,
I see your site is responsive.
it is.
It is very responsive.
I will say one frustrating thing is we used a template, and from that it was Bootstrap 3, which is not the most current version of Bootstrap. And doing the features of Bootstrap 4 has so many great features, and trying to kind of replicate them in Bootstrap 3 was a little frustrating. Doable, but that's some challenge.
All right. Good work, guys.
Go that way? Okay, cool. Awesome. So my name is Brody. I am in the software development program, and my role in this project at the start, I did a lot of our database design. I moved into some of the BL, and then there was a need to do some front end, so I got to touch a lot of different parts of this project. So that's what I did.
Hey, I'm Lauren. I'm in the web design and development program. I did a lot of the design stuff as well, the front end and the UI.
And my name is Brenton. I did a lot of the functionality pieces in the BL kind of controller area, but as needed basis has changed, I had to do a bit of front end as well, and a bit of back end, a bit of everything, yeah. Pretty much touching on everything.
Awesome. So the way we're going to go about this, I'm going to introduce the project a little bit, walk through the different features on here, then talk about what we do in the future if we're going to keep developing this. So this project started with an idea that I had. It came out of some frustration that I had. So I wanted to get out of here in 3 semesters when I came in. And I transferred from St. Norbert College, so I had a lot of courses that transferred in with me. But one class that I needed to get out of in order to do that was JavaScript. And in order to do that, I needed to submit a portfolio of my JavaScript projects. And in order to do that, I wanted to have a tool that I could upload all my projects to and say, hey, look at all these things I did, and I had to make them myself, and it took a lot of time and a lot of effort while I was in my other courses. And I thought, hey, it'd be really cool if I could have a site where I had, here's my GitHub links, you can look at these repos, but also, I don't want to just send you links to my code. I want to say, this is what this project is, these are the different techniques I use, this is the different people that I worked with, and all those sorts of bits and pieces. So the goal for this project was to let users upload projects that are different things they worked on and organize them into portfolios that they could send out to employers or teachers to show different things that they worked on. So we're going to start out with talking about our account creation and login, and Brenton's going to talk about that.
All right, so yeah, if you actually just bring us right into signing up here, we'll get right to our account creation piece. Just loads up here. And we actually spent a bit of time working on here making a client-side and server-side validation for this. Gives it a nice feel for the users to be able to actually get feedback right away, and it also is really great for security. Do both of us. Ta-da! And then yeah, upload file. Nice picture.
I think you should read not the emergency files. This is the very far away screen. That one. And you will create the account.
So that brings it right back to the login screen here. And fun thing we had about the login screen here, actually we'll go with password recovery first here. Sorry, we actually added a password recovery piece just for, everyone forgets their password every now and then. I deal with that constantly at my job currently. So I figured that's one of the most useful features. So it actually sends you a password with an email reset link.
I've been deleting these emails because I come in and forgot to delete the last one, but you can click the link. Oh, that's the old one. There we go. And so I can put in a new password. And save that, and then I'll have a new password.
And then one of the pieces that we ran into partway through our project was the confusion on logging in. We had originally just had it as email, and because everyone has usernames on here, one of our teammates was trying to log in with a username repeatedly. And we decided, you know what, that's not a bad idea. We should probably have both an email or a username that can be used for the login. So we added that in too.
Okay, and then this is the user profile page. As you can see, it has just your name, your email, and a profile image, and then if you just have a file that you put in, and then if you scroll down, you can see the projects, and then the portfolios that are collections of projects. We'll talk more about that later. But if you just go up here and you go to edit the profile, these are jQuery or sizable fields of text, and you can just edit them however you want. Yeah, see, there you go. Just save. Scroll. Yep, there we go. So.
That. And so then we have our projects, which are sort of the meat and potatoes here. So a project is the thing that you work on. So a little bit meta right here. We have the site we worked on as a project. So in this project here, back on the profiles, we see that we have these project cards here. They've got these short descriptions on them. It takes the long description that's there. It's a really fun read-only property. It returns the first 100 characters, and then it sees if it cuts off a word, returns the end of the nearest word, checks if it's going to be too long then, and all that. So lots of fun stuff there to make it presentable for users. And then it returns language badges here, up to 5 of them. You can have a lot more languages on a project than 5, but it'll only return 5 there. So if we go to the project then itself, we see that there are the languages displayed up here at the top. There's a status thing up here, so we see that this one is currently in progress. We see the description for the project, the display image for it here. We see the information about the user over here on the side. So we've got username, picture, name, email, a short version of my bio, a link to my projects and portfolios, and then we've got the details down here. So we have a link out to the code for this project. So that links out to my GitHub where you can look at the code. We have project details, the tabs out where I can list out the purpose, the environment, challenges, software, future plans, collaborators, and a zip file. And then there are screenshots. So this is an image carousel of the different screenshots. You can view them, escape to close that. And then we can come in here to edit the project. Oh, it's okay. I probably missed something, but that's fine. We can come in here, and so I missed a few things on here. We can add in Lauren as a collaborator. We can go ahead and upload a zip file. So we've got that one, and we can save that. And so now if we go to that project off of my profile, we see that now it has this beautiful zip file on it that we can download and it will download the zip file of our code there that we've uploaded, and we see that Lauren is now my collaborator on this project. So we've got that working for us, and we also have the screenshot upload page as well, so you can edit and upload screenshots here. So you can add a new screenshot, choose the file. We've got a beautiful screenshot here. It shows a little bit of our admin backend in it, so we can now go to the project again, open that up, go to screenshots, and you can see, oh, it didn't show up, but we can see that there's another new image in there. That's our default image, but something doesn't show up. So something went awry there, but that's okay. So next, we have the portfolios.
Let's go back to the page here. So scroll down. These are the portfolios. These are just collections of smaller projects. Like you can see that this one is just all Python and JavaScript projects. You just click on that. So it's just like it's kind of the similar layout to the project page where you just have kind of a biography talking about like your whatever, just the general scope of the portfolio and what's inside. And then if you scroll down, there's all the projects. It's kind of the same thing with the badges. And if you go up, you can go and edit, and it's kind of the same. It's the same thing as the project pages where you have the resizable jQuery boxes of text. And then down here, you can add the projects. Or you can also remove them. And then the cool thing too is that a lot of the languages, if you go back and look at the badges, those are actually read-only properties.
Yeah. So I can talk about
Yeah,
this too. So the way that the language and the portfolios work, you don't assign a language to a portfolio at all. It looks at the projects that are in it and it pulls those back. So you don't say this portfolio has these languages in there. So I don't say this portfolio has these 5 languages. It just looks at what's in there and it takes those languages and puts it on there as those badges. So it's another fun little thing that's there. Then Brenton's going to talk about our search feature.
Yeah, we actually have a little search feature implemented here that we can go through and find like things like find projects, we can find portfolios, we can find by languages as well, like profiles, and just type in anything else on it by search. Pretty simple piece until you start getting into some of the other pieces like the languages and yeah, it just easily brings up like it brings up the profile.
So one other thing that we spent a lot of time on, do you want to talk about the URLs?
Yeah, we spent a ton of time on URL cleaning.
This is kind of hard to read up there, but
yeah, we wanted to be able to have it so that you could just type in a username, like you could go in, oh, I want to go to the website /user or /username, and then just hit enter and be able to go right to their go right to their actual profile.
so if we look at that, it's user / their username / project. So we did a lot of URL cleaning for this, making sure that if there are things like, there's a dot in my .NET projects, we had to make sure that was cleaned out of there so stuff wasn't going to come back weirdly. And so a lot of the edit stuff doesn't, but for public links, we want to make sure that if you're going to send this to an employer, you can send them your project, and it looks like a nice professional URL. Is there anything else you want to talk about with the search?
I mean, yeah, you can actually search by languages too. That was one of the things I liked the most about this search. If you want to go through here and be like, I want to see what projects are out there for this language, just throw it on up and find what you wanted.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. There's a lot of fun things out there. And so then the other future plans we have for the website, so our next steps that we would have, we have some privacy things like planned and set up in our database that we didn't implement. So if you look at projects, they have privacy on them. It says a public privacy. If I set it to private right now or password protected, that does nothing at the moment, but that would be our next step right now. That's where we were moving towards. We have a messaging system plan that we were planning on moving towards, so employers and users could connect that way. And then we would look into some more security features with the links out and the zip files on uploaded. Do you have questions? Sorry. Yeah.
Here during the creation of a user, that it had password requirements?
Yeah.
Were the same requirements on the reset of the password?
I think they're there on the server side. They just didn't show up on the client side. I think we missed that one screen for that.
I was wondering if you had all the students upload all their stuff and if you could just send us the link.
So I haven't, but I was job searching and sending out information, and I did use it as a tool. That's why mine has like all my stuff uploaded in it. And I did use it as a tool when I was sending it out to employers, and a lot of them thought that was really interesting getting to see.
I think it's pretty fascinating. Number one, it's like a 3D version of a resume, right? And number two, you only have a limited amount of cells on yourselves yet, right? And you know, the projects that you're working on right now, you know, you got to leverage that in the interview and with your experience, because maybe you don't have a lot of real world experience, you know, using that stuff. And so that, you know, really putting some emphasis on some of those things that you've done outside of school and within school, I think can be huge, really.
Yeah.
So I applaud the idea. I think it's, you know, I think it's got legs.
Yeah, I agree. I've probably looked at over 10,000 applications, done over 1,000 interviews. If somebody sent me something like this, I think I'd be pretty happy.
And make him happy.
Well, not to beat a dead horse, but you know, we're working with junior level, you know, candidates and things like that, and you're like, well, what else, you know, what else can I, you know, what else is there that I can help to sell this candidate, you know, because I know that they're good, and you know, the fact that, you know, if you've got open source work and different things like that, that can really move your resume up toward the top, you know, especially when looking for junior to mid-level folks.
That is something I will often do with any candidate I'm working with as a recruiter. I'll talk about their projects and make sure that's in the resume at the top so the manager can see that and go from there. I'm not technical, so anything you say, it's either gonna get you the job or it's gonna disqualify you really quick if it's wrong.
Yeah, and I think that was a big goal of this, was to make it non-technical as well on the front end. So there's like, it definitely, you can get technical and look at the repo and look at the code if you want, but also to have, you can look at the details and just see this information and get the nice surface level and a good understanding of what it is.
The badges are good for her.
That's all I need.
Good.
Search criteria.
Good.
So what is FVTC Screen Scraper?
Oh, that's one of my fun projects that I worked on. So this project, it went out and it took all of the, I wrote it in Python. It's a script that goes out and takes all of the programs off of FET's website and puts them into a JSON format. So it has every subject area program and then all the courses that you have to take for that, and put that into a JSON format for me to play around with if I want to.
Cool.
So I have the JSON file sitting out, I think on my website, but I linked it out. I don't have the link on here for it, but on my personal website, I have the link out there. So check out my personal website. Yes, Tom. Oh,
sorry, as of right now, it doesn't look like if you were collaborating with one of them on a project, it doesn't actually link it to their project. Was that one of the things that you guys were planning on doing?
Yeah, so we have a really big backlog. That's one of my favorite things about the Agile process for this, as someone who took on some of the project management as well for us, is like, here's a cool idea, throw it on the backlog. Like, I really like that. Backlog. We don't have time for that right now. We're working on the search feature. That's where our resources are going. And I'm a big person who wants to put out, like, this sprint, I want a finished product with, like, no bugs in it. I want things to be working. So I wanted to be like, backlog, let's throw it on there. So that's something that's sitting on our backlog right now.
But yet it's capture.
Yeah,
So it's actually
exactly.
documented.
Yeah.
Cool.
I got a question for you, Brody.
Yeah.
So what didn't you like about the Agile process?
So, I think.
Don't answer that trick question.
So I mean, I asked the question, so it's only fair game that it gets asked back at me. I think one thing that our group struggled with, admittedly, and everyone in our group has said it, was communication when we first started out. We struggled with communication, finding a way that worked for us, and I think everyone has admitted that. And our group has gone through a lot of changes throughout, and I think that is Agile. We have changed a lot of what we have been doing throughout the entire process. I think it's been a definite shock getting used to that, and it's something that is weird for me to get used to and working in a team environment. So we have all had phases where we got really involved, put in a lot of work, did a lot of things, and then realized, like, I just put in a lot of work to this project, like way more than I should have right now, and like I need to take a step back and let other people take on things right now. And I think that working in a group environment was definitely something that took a lot of getting used to and was something very strange for me personally. You guys can step in.
I mean, like, I've done work with clients before where it's just you constantly go back and forth, going, does this look good? Do you want this? Do you want this? It was really nice because the Agile process kind of brought this all together into like a more functionalized version of that also really put things into perspective. Really kind of kept you going, I have to do this, and then I also have to do this, and we have a short timeline, so we got to keep trucking along. It was pretty great, actually. It kind of really kept the ball moving on things and really kept you communicating back and forth once we got it open.
Yeah, it just took a while to get the lines of communication open, but once they were open, it started going really smoothly for our teams.
So, estimates versus actual. This got asked. Yeah.
It was all over the board.
Okay.
It changed. Yeah.
So many late nights.
Yeah, I'm sure. It shows. It really shows.
Yeah.
A lot of cool features. Is there any one that you were proudest of getting to work, getting incorporated?
I really like the language badges. They're my favorite. So throughout this project, I think one of my favorite things I realized is read-only properties are like my little babies that I'm really fan of. And so I really enjoyed writing the short description algorithm and writing the language algorithms, and the badges were really helping me.
How does it actually pull the language for that? Like, where does that come from?
So we have a language table, and there is a project table, and projects have more than one language, so there's a junction table there. It pulls all the languages onto a project, and then there is a CSS badge file, and it puts a class on it puts a pill class on each one that correlates to that applies a specific background.
I'm sorry, I thought you had asked, or you had said earlier that it like automatically pulls.
Well, that's
inside. I'm sorry, it's on the portfolio.
I was going to say, that was my
question.
question too.
Yeah, I misunderstood the question, I apologize.
Yeah, no,
how does it bubble up?
So what it does is there are the projects on the portfolio.
Yeah.
So it pulls all of the projects, and it takes, for each project that there is, it looks at each language, and there's a master language list on the portfolio. If the language on this project is not in there, add it, go to the next one, add it, and then move on to the next. And keep doing that until you reach the end of each project that's in there, and then you get your master list of languages on the portfolio.
Okay, so it still, sorry, didn't really answer.
It's okay.
No, it's fine. I thought you had said that it like automatically assigns the languages, but
Yeah,
is
you
that
don't
something
have
that
to.
you- Okay.
You don't have to set that up.
Okay, so even when you're creating a project, you don't have to set that.
You create the project.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No, that's what I was confused.
Project you set.
Yeah, okay.
Portfolio you
It
don't.
automatically pulls, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
One minor suggestion would be to shrink up the footer.
Yeah, I agree. That was something that we ran into at the end. The footer was sitting on pages that were short. Like this page would be sitting up higher. And so at the end, it was, is it a sticky footer or is it going to sit in the middle of the page? And I am not a front end person. That's not my strength. And I tried for a good, this homepage took me a good like 6 hours to like just make that. And I was not ready to invest that in the footer while I was doing other finals. So it was just make it sticky for now, and that was going to be something that we came back to.
Cool.
Good work. Responsive too.
Oh yeah, our site is responsive. So there's that, and then if we go to like, I can't see.
Good work.
All right, so my name is Emily. I'm in the Web Development and Design program, and I worked on design and UI.
I'm Chris. I'm in the software development program. I mostly worked on the back end and data.
My name is Logan. I'm in the software program, and I did a little bit of the back end and a fair amount of the front end as well. Also in our team is Cindy, who is in Chicago, I think, right now, on a plane. She is on a vacation for the summer, or for the next fair amount of time. And she did a fair amount of front end as well, and she also did a lot of work with our API and JSON data. So our website is a recipe management software. So you can enter your own recipes, and based on the user account, we also have functionality for searching for ingredients and searching for a recipe based on what ingredients you have, as well as looking for ingredient substitutes. If there's a recipe you're looking to make but you don't have quite all the ingredients, you can look through that. So we'll go through those. For starters, we have our About page. So basically just kind of what we went over. We want it to be kind of a go-to cooking website to share recipes with everyone, quick and easy, and then the ingredient substitutions and things like that. So first we'll go for the search by ingredient. So this, we found the most relevant use for this is for ingredients that you're not super familiar with. Amongst the three of us, we kind of found that herbs and spices were kind of the most common. So if there's a certain seasoning you're not familiar with, you can search for it and get a picture of it. So if you're off to the store and you don't know what parsley is for some reason, you can kind of get you pointed in the right direction, or cumin, something like that. You can get a picture. You can print it out if you wanted to. So that's that. We have a search for a recipe feature. So if you have a certain ingredient that you're looking to make a recipe for or with, you can search based on that. So let's say that we have a ton of excessive chocolate for some reason that we want to get rid of. So this pulls from an API that we have implemented, so it has a bunch of different recipes based on what we search for, which is chocolate.
This just isn't fair.
So we'll take a look at the first one. So chocolate dipped shortbread cookies. So if you open this up, it has a little bit of a description. It kind of goes through if it's vegan, vegetarian, healthy, none of the above. It's popular, keto, it's got the Weight Watcher score, prep time and servings. It also has an ingredient list for things you need, along with some pictures, as well as the instructions for it. The instructions are printable as well, so you can print those out if you want to hang on to them. So that works. Okay. All right, so we also have the, like we mentioned, the ingredient substitutions. So say that we were making those cookies and we don't have butter or something like that. You can take a search, and this also bounces through our API and pulls in alternatives that could be used in place of butter for your recipe. So that works there. Okay, so we have creating account functionality. Oh, look at that. Nice job. Let's go for it. So once you're logged in, you can go to enter your recipes. If you would have went to enter your recipes before logging in, it would just bounce you over there. So you can. So this is the cookbook. Obviously, just made the user, so it's blank. You can go create new.
And we do have validation on this. It will inform the user if they're missing a required field or if the data is incorrect.
Brought samples, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, see us after. So we go ahead and create this. Pulls in a thumbnail, which is pretty cool, along with just what we entered. You can go back and edit anything. Take a look at little details. Obviously, it'd fill out a bit more if I felt like typing. And then you can delete that out there as well. So yeah, that is about what we made. Does anybody have any questions, comments? Hey, Brody, what you thinking?
So you said you worked with an API. Could you talk more about that?
Absolutely. So we use a third-party API. It was through Spoonacular, I think it was called. And they store our data. So we set it up in our back end to bounce through based on the JSON parameters. So if we search like for butter, it'll go through their entire API database or collection and then bounce it back to us. And that's pulled from the view. Yeah, so that's what all three of the searches work with, or the ingredient for the recipe and the substitute all go through that API. Yes?
So when you create a recipe yourself, does that show up in the search at all, or is that more for your own?
It does not. The search is also going to be pulled from the API. We, long-term, if we did have more time to work on it, we want the user profiles to, if determined by the user, to be public, which then could end up in the list. Not functionality we have included at this time. No.
Yeah, the user's cookbook is meant to be just their private recipes, which they can store for later or print out. We originally planned to allow users to publish their private recipes in a social media post, but we never quite got around to that.
Anybody else?
So overall, thoughts on the Agile process?
I liked it personally. I think it worked well for our group once we had solidified communication methods and like subset of the project we were all going to be individually working on. I think it flowed pretty well.
We mostly focused on Scrum, and we would just say each week, this week we're going to get this done, and this done, and this done.
I liked it too. I thought it was interesting when we were first starting out, seeing like we didn't know that much about each other, and then finding what each other's strengths and weaknesses were. It was a really good process there. So.
Definitely.
What you guys use for communication?
Slack.
We also made sure to meet in person each week.
Anybody else?
All right.
I probably should have warned you, the last two are about food. Sorry. We gotta move this class earlier in the morning.
We just need samples.
Yeah.
Don't go bragging about that.
Much, yeah.
So we'll start with introductions, I guess. My name's Tony. I'm part of the software dev program, and I kind of worked on pretty much everything here or there, you know, a little bit. Started off trying to get an API working through Google to pull places, but about halfway through the project, we decided that that wasn't feasible, so we ended up moving to a local database with all of our restaurant data and stuff. Yeah, overall, I kind of ended up working on a lot of it.
My name is Jared Long. I mainly worked on back-end stuff and database design.
I'm Rachel. I worked on, I think I kind of fell into the project manager type of role. So I did mostly back-end, a little bit of front-end, and just kind of helped us sort of create vision that we could all live with and we could all accomplish.
Make sure everyone got their stuff done.
My name's Lisa, and I did most of the front end.
My name is Cody Gortry. I worked on data entry, test cases, and a few miscellaneous things.
Our app is called Gobbler. Our tagline, Swipe, Match, Eat, is pretty telling as to what it's for. It's kind of a Tinder for restaurants. You can set up an account and then find friends, swipe left or right on restaurants to indicate whether or not you want to eat there, and then compare your list of favorited restaurants with your friends to find some place to go out to eat. So we'll just create an account here real quick.
It's not Joe, was it?
We already have Joe. Okay, and this is just kind of a pop-up just explaining, what the website's for. It's kind of hard to read because it's a little small. But. So yeah, after you create an account, it just brings you right back to the login page. And once you log in, it brings you to the dash. First time you log in, you're not going to have any favorites, you're not going to have any friends. So the first thing, probably a good idea to go do is find some friends. Yeah, sure. Best person is friends with Joe. Jared, sorry. Bill's a good one. Some of these have favorited restaurants, some of them don't, so I'm trying to find ones that do. I am on here twice. But so if you want, you can actually search. It says by email, but it's actually by name. Apparently we didn't get back in there and change that, but it does live update the search when you type in. So if I want to be friends with Rachel, I can just type in the first 3 letters of her name. And it does actually work too if you want to search for people in Appleton, and you can search by that too. It'll search for basically the search box will hit anything that's in the line here. So we got a good number of friends now, so let's go browse some restaurants. So this was kind of like the hardest part to get actually working. You can actually swipe left or right. This was all Lisa found the code to get this working and got it all set up for us. And so let's just swipe through some stuff here. We do have the filter up at the top here, so if you just want to say see restaurants in Green Bay, you can swipe through some of those. These are all just sitting in our database right now, so I think there's only like 30 or 40 in there. What?
400 restaurants.
How many?
I had like pretty much every restaurant around in the area.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
400.
400? 100. Okay, there's 100 restaurants. Okay, over 100. I heard 400. But yeah, so there's quite a few in here. But I think that's a good number. I can go back to my dash now here. Go back to my dash. Oh, that's right. It's dash. There we go. Okay. So now that I have some friends, I can go and see what restaurants we all like. And it'll actually populate down in here. So we'll pull a list of favorites based on who you have checked up here. It'll pull Tony's favorites, it'll pull Bill's favorites, it'll pull anyone that's checked, and it compares them. And then any favorites that everyone has in common, it'll populate down in the restaurants in common window down here with a link to the menu for the restaurant. So you can actually go and check out. But yeah, it's basically so, say I'm going out to lunch with Tony and Tony, what do we all like to eat kind of situation, so. But it's pretty much it. Any questions?
If you changed your mind about a restaurant, like from a bad experience, are you able to remove that from your favorites list?
As of right now, we didn't get that implemented. That's probably like the next thing that we would have implemented. But yeah, basically we would have just had a checkbox or a button right here to remove favorite, but yeah.
Somebody else said it too, having a large backlog of things that we wanted to get to. That was definitely us. We definitely had to pare down what we wanted to do.
Yeah, especially with me spending like the first 3 weeks getting the API set up and working, and then the next sprint deciding that we didn't want to use the API because it was really, I mean, not confusing to get it to work, but it would have been a little bit more effort than just saving the database. Kind of lost a bit of time on that, so.
Well, that's part of the Agile process,
Yeah,
so it's
yeah,
deciding to
yeah.
cut your losses. and-
Yeah, so and that's exactly it. We cut our losses and ended up, I think, a lot better off for it.
Well, I think in retrospect, we maybe should have started out with the minimum viable product and built our way up from there, but we had really a lot of grandiose expectations for what we wanted to do, and we were really excited about it,
Yeah.
so we maybe learned that we did that the wrong way around.
So what was the coolest feature?
I think the coolest feature is probably my favorite feature is the swipeable tiles here. Unfortunately, if it's a dark picture, you can't really read the text, but I don't know, I thought that, I mean, I thought that was a really cool.
It was tedious.
Yeah. Yeah, to actually get it working. Basically, if you swipe right on it, it does an AJAX call against the database to add a favorite, but like it uses a bunch of really weird jQuery to actually like rotate it and slide it to the left, so.
Well, it kind of adds to like the kitschy value of the site, like we kind of wanted it to be fun and Tinder for foodies and so that's kind of what the spirit that we were going for, so the swiping works really well with that.
Yeah. Yes.
How was communication for your group?
Really good, I think.
Yeah, especially towards the end. At the beginning, it was, I mean, like everyone said, it was pretty hard, but once we kind of got in the swing of things, and once Rachel found her niche of, you know, asking everyone every Monday, you know, what have you worked on over the weekend, and what are you going to be working on this week, I think it kind of picked up a lot better after that. So.
Yeah, we kind of learned that more is better in terms of communication. Like we kind of at first were like, well, we'll just talk when we're in class, but we kind of learned quickly that we needed more regular check-ins and we needed to, you know, have set times where we were communicating outside of class.
So did you use Slack or?
We did use Slack,
Okay.
yeah, which worked well for like file transfers and stuff like that. You know, people wanted to send a code snippet or, you know, a list of images or whatever, it worked out really well. Any other questions?
No.
Yes.
So when you click on a friend, when you add a friend, do they have to validate it or accept it? or-
As of right now, no. We didn't have any kind of messaging implementation or anything like that. It's basically, when you click add, it just adds them to your friend list. So if I actually went and logged in on my account right now, it would show Tess as a friend. Yes.
Sorry, I wanted just to confirm, the hello test in the top right, test is the name.
Test is the
correct?
name.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, you said- okay. So if you log in as
Yeah.
Tony, it's hello Tony.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, if I,
Cool.
and log in, let's see if I can remember.
So when you first started, you were going with like Google APIs? To get, like,
Yeah.
restaurants and stuff?
But yeah, so there's one. But yeah, I was using Google API to pull a list of paid places based on location, so.
Latitude and longitude.
Yeah, basically latitude and longitude. So there was one function where you could enter a city name to get the latitude and longitude, and then that actually has a field in the user account. So so then when a user would go to, you know, look for restaurants, you could look based on your current location or based on like your home location, and then it would pull down a list of, it would pull down the first list of 20 restaurants. But the unfortunate thing with the API is you can only pull down up to 60 restaurants per query. So like, you know, if you're pulling based on your current location, it would pull, you know, 20 restaurants, then you could pull the next page of 20 restaurants based on that location. You can pull the next page, but after that you can't get any more, which I mean is probably not terrible, but functionality wise, I think having our own database of stuff would have ended up working better. So.
All right, great.